Some dimes in my pocket, some with 3 stripes. This game ain't social media, where you looking for likes. Deals to be made, I'm a mover and shaker. To the occasion I rise, like Lisa Baker. I'm in the ladder with swiftness and ease. Spreading through the community just like a damn disease. What I do in office, minimal messages sent to you. Subliminal, taking what's not mine. A criminal, the game I play, political. What I do in office, minimal messages sent to you. Subliminal, taking what's not mine. A criminal, the game I play, political. Think you know me, not on the same level. I'm a real gangster, running with the devil. Only see me in person when it's time for the race. I know none of your needs, a damn disgrace. An elected official, liquor chaser, character superficial, constituent defacer. Knock on your door when I need your vote. A cocktail rider, track record just a joke. What I do in office, minimal messages sent to you. Subliminal, taking what's not mine. Criminal, the game I play, political. What I do in office, minimal messages sent to you. Subliminal, taking what's not mine. Criminal, the game I play, political. Once in office, promises broken. Misled you with confidence, made you a token. Some of us are real, many are just flakes. We're members of a party with no booty shakes. They can represent it from the hall to the house. When it's time to speak up for you, quiet as a mouse. I have my own agenda, little do you know. Once getting into office, I just go with the flow. What I do in office, minimal messages sent to you. Subliminal, taking what's not mine. Criminal, the game I play, political. What I do in office, minimal messages sent to you. Subliminal, taking what's not mine. Criminal, the game I play, political. You thought I'd make a difference, gave me your trust. Like singing in a condom, no love, just lust. You want to see change, so do I. But my allegiance is to the party, so to you I lie. I understand the system, I know you don't. Leaving the party, I know you won't. Invited to the party, you're having no fun. Hating and abetting, thinking I'm gonna be the one. What I do in office, minimal messages sent to you. Subliminal, taking what's not mine. Criminal, the game I play, political. What I do in office, minimal messages sent to you. Subliminal, taking what's not mine. Criminal, the game I play, political. What I do in office, minimal messages sent to you. Subliminal, taking what's not mine. Criminal, the game I play, political. What I do in office, minimal messages sent to you. Subliminal, taking what's not mine. Criminal, the game I play, political. You say the streets are yours, house that's so. When your homies with floors for blood that's yours. Spill with a brother, calling a brother, playing this game, it's insane. The one who got your book is probably your main. A game of fame, every man for himself. Personal gain, monetary wealth. Looking at his bet you nickel, maybe more. The homie gave you up, staying free for sure. Getting to the top, being in charge. Once a foot soldier, now sarge. Moving up the ranks, wanna be top dog. Putting in the work, no loyalty log. No remorse, what they want is status. Wetting up bodies, messy bad habits. Messy bad habits. You say the streets are yours. How's that so? When your homies wet floors, but blood that's yours. Spilled on a daily by one another. See him the next day, calling brother. You say the streets are yours. How's that so? When your homies wet floors, but blood that's yours. Spilled on a daily by one another. See him the next day, calling brother. Calling brother. Holes in your pockets, but there's a full. Your family's without you. Your woman they pull. Low down and dirty. This game you play. You learn the truth when you go away. Books empty, bills behind your back. They plotting. Soon she'll be mine. You was down to what it was. Better I have it now. Call the dogs, friends to the end. Chucky, no dogs running here. Puppy, street life is lucky. Getting through each day is lucky. Is this what you really strove for? To the ground you dove for. Stick up boys, they come for. Shots fired, homie made more. Homie made more. You say the streets are yours, how's that so? When your homies wet floors with blood that's yours. Spilled on a daily by one another. See him the next day, calling brother. You say the streets are yours, how's that so? When your homies wet floors with blood that's yours. Spilled on a daily by one another. See him the next day, calling him brother. Calling him brother. Want fame and fortune, even glory at the end of this game. Just another yard story. Bunky, flunky, canteen junkie, mule, a donkey. Just another research monkey. Make a decision, life or death. What's your vision? Having faith or vest? Chasing paper was the mission. Now a 6x6 you live in. Liberties you're missing. All the time you've done. No woman's flesh to feel. Get out your sock, pull your gun. Your life is what you make it. Quit the game, be free. Be true to yourself, not your enemy. Not your enemy. You say the streets are yours, how's that so? When your homies wet floors with blood that's yours. Spilled on a daily by one another. See him the next day, calling brother. You say the streets are yours, how's that so? When your homies wet floors with blood that's yours. Spilled on a daily by one another. See him the next day, calling brother. You say the streets are yours, how's that so? When your homies wet floors with blood that's yours. Spilled on a daily by one another. See him the next day, calling brother. Calling brother. Calling brother. Calling brother. In light hours and identify dark moments. Our eloquent limelighters have reared their ugly heads from the depths of detachment. to prance in front of the camera, possessed by envy, spite, and grandiosity, to openly admonish another brother for trying to do his due diligence in a manner that could have dire consequences for blacks in America. Just one more example of diversionary tactics often used to avoid personal accountability for knowing what time it really is and what must be done, and doing nothing. Most of them, collaboratively, would mean so much to our cause, yet they act independent, while we all are still dependent upon others. America, America, again words were spoken, and again our brothers, they hold a token. They were talking man to man, so I thought. But the other ones walking away to avoid facing the differences while diminishing the similarities, missing an opportunity to offer impunity from what many thought he should have done for the black community. He was the president of the United States of America, who is black. He was not the black president. He was not the black president. He was not, he was not, he was not. See, politics can't fix what's wrong with us. See, politics can't fix what's wrong with us. See, politics can't fix what's wrong with us, but they can and have been wrong to us. Anyone expecting his 8-year tenure to give blacks jobs, justice, and equality? You know, the things we keep begging for year after year, election after election, are more delusional than those who believe that number 45 and his supremacist cohorts are going to re-enslave the black man. Imagine that. Toss your caps. Now, in defense of our brother, not that he needs it, but it's for him. Many of us adore him. Today, his convictions guided him to applaud them. He offered me words of wisdom to those who engage in idle chatter, not the act of sitting still, but worship of the one who instills in others, shoot to kill. Great again has never been, at least not in the eye of the beholder of many men. Certainly not by those in the circles I have been in. Slandered and ostracized, no mollies, no drive-bys, no innocents sodomized. Standing erect, brothers, he checked words, expressed historics, refreshed. Great again, America's mess. Are our heads so far up the asses of these so-called self-professed black leaders that our air will remain polluted with disdain and distrust, laden with Cain? Or become able to differentiate sincerity from conspiracy, authentic from fraudulent, a message from a messenger, knowing what time it really is and what must be done? Knowing what time it really is and what must be done? Knowing what time it is and what must be done? America. And welcome to another episode of Daddy's Right Here Live. I'm your host, as always, Sabir Link. So listen, let's get this out the way first, right? Because I know it's on everybody's minds this morning, right? Mike did his best. Plain and simple. But it should show everybody the power of the media, the power of social media. We saw footage of Mike supposedly in the gym, working out, looking great, looking good, legs popping, and all these things. We saw all the flashbacks. And the only thing we had in our mind is Mike, the old Mike, right? Iron Mike. He'll never lose that. We'll always have that in our minds. And I know I'm not the only one who wanted to see the blast from the past. I know that. In our hearts, we wanted to see the blast from the past. And when he came out, we got blasted with the present. Mike's 58. He's lived a hard life. He's had a lot of challenges. And I know what it feels like to be of that age. I'm 64. And I feel like I'm in my 40s. What I thought 64 was going to look like, not even close. But I know what that feels like. I've slowed down. Cardio is not great. I just started getting back into a routine. I set a goal. I'm going to bring y'all on that journey with me. And I feel great. Other than the cigars, which I'm like fighting. I've been fighting for a while with that. But, Mike's been on medication. Mike has changed. There's other things that now manage his life. And when you remove those things, when you stop taking the medications, you begin to break down. You begin to decompensate because you're stabilized with medications. That's what stabilized Mike. Mike constantly bit at his glove, constantly. We know he did that in the past as a fighter. We know he did that. But it was so profusely done that he couldn't put two and two together. And he couldn't be what we wanted him to be. In his mind, he was what he wanted to be. In my mind, I am what I want to be at 64, and I see myself. But listen, a 27-year-old, right? We got to make quick work of this, right? That means a two-piece, right? And we might have to use some elbows and, some knees and feet, but it's got to be quick. We all knew that. We all knew that in the first round, Mike had to take him down. And if it wasn't going to happen, then it wasn't going to happen. Rounds 1 and 2, they gave to Mike. That was it. That's all he had. We don't know how much work he actually did. We saw film footage that they showed us. They showed us enough footage to make us believe that this is what it looked like.
They had to. But that's what all media does. Even now, we see in the news the narrative being exaggerated, being blown up, because it's a need for people who've been brainwashed by the media to believe this is what's happening, to see how serious this is when it's never been serious before. But the platforms that people have run on have now become a reality for them. And they have to live up to this reality, this so-called mandate. And now you're going to start seeing more things in the media about immigration, about illegal immigrants, and the havoc that they're wreaking upon America. We know it's a problem. But in order for me to drive home what I need to as my narrative, I need to sensationalize this. And this is what media does. And that's what we saw with Mike Tyson. That's what we saw. We saw the buildup. We saw the slap. Yeah, Mike's back. That's what we experience every day. And we make decisions about our lives every single day based on the media. That's how powerful television is. You take reality, 1/10 of reality, and put it into 90 tenths, which comes to 100, brings it all full circle, of false information. Fake news. A lot of people said nothing about fake news until Donald Trump brought it up. And we jumped on that, right? Because the reality of it is, agree or disagree, there have been a lot of things that we have found out that happens in our government that are concealed, that are deceptive. We're always lied to. There's no truth. Yet we jump on one another's backs. We criticize and condemn one another because of what the media says. Because other people who are party people, they stick with the party no matter what. We're grown. We can make our own damn decisions. Who the hell are you to turn around and condemn an individual for making a decision that they feel is best for them and or the country? Great emphasis placed on divide in regards to race. Yet and still, we still shop at stores with people who don't like us. We still wear the clothing bought from people who don't like us. And the list goes on and on and on. On and on and on. Everything that you eat, own, operate, etc., is not owned by blacks. Let's get that straight. And there are many of these owners who hate us, who despise us. But like everybody else in America, we love money. Period. 76,000 people, I believe they said, were in attendance to that fight in the stadium. How many people watched? How many people wanted to see, once again, Mike? And it's just like in real life. It's just like in real life. You have conflicts with one another and you splinter. But it still resides within you. The old person, the old issues, the past behaviors, never expecting change, never seeing change. And really, when you think that way, you need to understand that You think that way about everything and everybody, not looking at how that's going to affect the relationship in the future. You never let it go. You never let it go. It will always be in the forefront of the difficulty. It's going to always be in the forefront of the difficulty. When people knew you when you were younger and they saw you at that age, they had some interaction with you at that age, right? People don't take in consideration what I do when I'm young, dumb, excuse me, and still learning. That's not taken into consideration. People hold on to what they want to hold on to about you. About you. It's just like a lot of brothers and sisters that I've talked to throughout the years, coming out of state correctional institutions. One of the things I told them, don't fall prey to your family and friends who want to call you up because they're looking for the old you. You spent time, in most cases, because people that go to prison ain't spending time thinking about everybody that's, it's not thinking about going back to crime. Some are. Some believe that that's all they have to go back to because of the conditions that they go back to. But most of the people that I've encountered in treatment, in conversation, don't want to go back to prison. But everybody around you is not thinking that way. They're looking for the old you. Whoever supervises you, parole, probation, they're looking for the old you. Now, that's a different kind of relationship. I understand that. But everybody's looking for the old you. You sit in front of the parole board and tell them I'm a new person. I found God. I found Jesus. I found out that I was just like being irresponsible. I found out that I was being lied to. Whatever it is, you sit there and you tell them, but in their minds, they looking at the file. And this is what we do with people in real life. There's a file that's retained in the memory banks of our mind. So people forget, but it's always there because everybody doesn't want to hold on to their old baggage, right? So they forget about it. And when I mean forget, I don't mean that it's erased from the mind. I mean like, okay, we moving on. Let's move on. Let's forget about it. It happened. It's done. Let's move on. But they tell you that. But then as soon as the old you who committed that violation upon them presents itself, you the old you again. You're never the new you. That's why I don't go back to relationships. If we're done, we're done. If we broke up, we broke up. Going back and forth is not going to change what happened. If it was unresolved then, it's going to be unresolved again. So why go back? Why go back? But people won't let go of the old you. No matter how much you try to convince them of that, no matter how much they try to convince you of that. They're not going that. Nah, you're going to always be the old you. So we wanted to see the old Mike. Good to see Mike. I really, my hat comes off to Jake because he showed Mike much respect. Much respect. He didn't, all he wanted to do was beat Mike Tyson. He didn't say he wanted to beat up Mike Tyson. He said he wants to beat Mike Tyson. That's his goal. His goal was to beat Mike Tyson. And he did that. Regardless of the trash talk that comes along with the old pomp and circumstance of the promotion of the fight, he beat Mike Tyson. That's what he wanted to do. I am certainly sure that he wanted to beat up this guy in front of him because that's what y'all wanted to see. For those of you who are Jake Paul fans, y'all wanted to see him beat Mike down. And I'm glad that he gave Mike his flowers in the ring. Didn't wait till after the fight was over. No, there was respect there. He took a moment to bow to Mike, to yield, but he wasn't stupid either, right? He stepped toward him and he thought about it for a minute. I'm still in front of Mike Tyson. Mike ain't wrapped too tight. He's a couple cans short of a six-pack. He ain't the sharpest pencil in the box, especially when he ain't on his meds, right? But I respect Jake Paul for doing that because he didn't have to do that. And he did. And that shows a lot about who Jake Paul is. Jake Paul's an entertainer. Period. But when you look at the conflict between yourself and other people, you have to ask your people, at what point do you we don't have to do this. At what point do you do that? Right. So last week, some of the key points from the article: high conflict couples often repeat their upsets over and over again. Just talked about that because they don't let the old person go. You're trying to make changes in a relationship, but it stays the same no matter how much you try. It seems like it just stays the same. It's because one and or the both are not seeing others in the aspect of growth. We talk about how long we've been together and how things should be different, but neither are giving, or just one of them is not giving a recognition to the growth that is happening. I see you growing. And sometimes when the other person is growing, the other person don't want to let you grow because they want to keep the old you at bay. You know, it becomes even more intense because they know if you grow, you're going to go, right? The other point was high conflict couples typically over focus on their partner to the detriment of their own self growth. You're so fixated on me. You're so fixated on how you want me to appease you, how you want me to yield to you, how you want me to do this for you, how you want me to accommodate you. How come I didn't do this? How come I stopped doing that? Losing sight of their own selves. They have you to focus on. They have you to blame for everything. So their focus is always on you. If my focus is always on you, I'm never focusing on myself. Therefore, I'm not growing. I'm not growing. And that's why when the relationship ends, people tend to realize the fact. The other point was growing your communication and self-awareness starts a new pattern. Growing your communication. How you talk to me. Do you talk to me? If I'm always the one dragging things out of you, is that healthy? Where does that allow me to continue to grow in areas I need to grow in? Because I always have to reach back. I always have to reach back. And I'm talking about like something that's persistent. I'm not talking about intermittent challenges. All relationships have their challenges. If you see it as a problem, that's where you want to start. It's a challenge. It's a challenge anytime you're in a relationship with another person. Imagine being in a relationship with you, what that would look like. So it's about growing your communication and your self-awareness skills. You know what you can take and what you can't take. You can give out thick-skinned criticism to somebody else, but then don't see how thin-skinned you are when it comes back. You have to start anew. You have to begin to look at these things and start looking at yourself when you're in certain situations. Stop looking at the other person. Stop looking at the other person. And one of the things that I've said throughout the years in counseling, you know, is a quote that I came up with is that When in conflict, make every moment a teach you about me moment instead of a tell you about you moment. If you're feeling a particular way when we're in the midst of this conflict, confrontation, a lot of people don't like to use the word confrontation because they think it's like an aggression. No, it's a confrontation. I am speaking up. I am stepping into the ring to address this issue. It is a confrontation. I am confronting this issue. But what happens is, the first thing that happens is we want to defend our position by condemning the other person. Well, you did that. Instead of, let me teach you about me. When you raise your voice at me, it's reminiscent of my childhood. Me, personally, raised in a home dominated by a woman, my mother. Therefore, there are things that have confronted me and still may confront me in life that may come from a woman that may be reminiscent of that period when being talked to or treated in a particular manner. In a particular manner. And I will, what we call rubber banding in treatment, I will regress back to that period and react based off that period because of what's happening right now in front of me. So, like when a woman raises her voice at me, right, in a dominating and controlling manner, I don't do well with that. I don't do well with that with anybody, but I don't do well with that. Because the first thing that comes to my mind is, first of all, I respect you. I talk to you with respect, right? I find it to be controlling. I find it to be disrespectful and demeaning, especially when I'm doing the right thing by you. I don't deserve to be treated like that. There's some exchanges that happened in my childhood between my mother and I, where I was 100% innocent, where I did absolutely nothing. And I got dealt with like I had actually done something. So when I'm in a relationship as an adult, and I know I haven't done anything wrong, I take it to heart. That's part of loyalty. Loyalty is not just standing by a person through thick and thin. Loyalty also means how you treat me. Are you loyal to my heart? Are you loyal to my spirit? Are you loyal to my cause? It's more to it. But this is what happens. And if you're becoming self-aware, as the previous bulleted item noted, and if you're trying to grow your communication, you should be learning about me. So if I'm telling you about me, you shouldn't be using that as a double-edged sword for your agenda of defending yourself and beating on me. Because that's what happens. You don't want to check your own stuff. You don't want to grow up. You want to be a Toys R Us kid. You don't want to shake off the boy. You don't want to shake off the girl. But you want to be treated as an adult. But you don't act like one. And dare I say that to you? Because that's even more of an escalation of the conflict. But at the end of the day, if I am shown respect when somebody is trying to tell me about themselves and not, I need to listen. First thing we do is we know, again, relying upon the old you, not giving any credence to your growth, no matter how small, right? But if you're talking to me, I'm not believing you already. I'm not accepting it already because I already know what you do. I know what you do. But you're trying to now tell me about you. And all I can hear is you telling me about me. I have to change that. So when you're going into a dialogue that seems to be familiar, stop. Allow yourself the privilege to think and say, hey, listen, what I need to do in this moment is just tell you not about you, but about me. How I feel in this situation right now. How I feel about what transpired that causes me to react in the manner that I do. It's not an easy thing to do. When all you see in front of you is the new person, but in your mind, they're still the same old person, like we saw with Mike. We saw Mike Tyson before us, right? Aged, worn, beaten. But in our minds, we still saw Iron Mike. It's just like any other relationship. Until you get to the point of accepting the fact that it's you that may be adding to the continued conflict, it's going to keep being the same way. So when in conflict, make this a teach you about me moment instead of a tell you about you moment. I'm not going to sit here and tell you about you. Let me tell you about me. And I just gave you an example of when a woman raises her voice at me, right? What happens within my mind? In my mind, I live in a female dominated environment. I was raised by my mother, right? You have to look at all of these things. But you're not going to learn these things about one another if you don't talk. You're going to keep throwing relationships away one after the next, after the next, after the next, whether it's boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, co-worker, classmate, roommate, whatever it is, you're going to keep experiencing the same exact thing. It's not about what the other person does. It's what you're going to do. Good morning, Girl Mom for Life. Harold Brown Jr. Good morning. Thanks for tuning in. So it's a matter of you have power and control over what's happening. But you first have to check you. You got to be aware of yourself. You know you don't like the person. You know you don't care for the person. No matter how much you try to smile through gritted teeth, you know you are contributing a negative vibe into this. People know when you're fraudulent. People know when you're putting on the front when you're talking to them. People know when you don't like them because you showed them you don't care for them. Why you wasting energy on not liking anybody is beyond me. Still be you. And if you feel like that about me, don't be around me. If you have to, be authentic. I don't have to kiki smile. Hey, how you doing? You know, you're not going to get the handshake and the hand on the shoulder or the arm. You know, like I greet people. You know, who I have some level of fondness for. You know, I'm gonna shake your hand. What's up, man? You won't get no smile and all that. I ain't doing none of that. If I don't mess with you, right, for a valid reason, I'm going to keep my distance. I'm going to keep our conversation short, cordial, but we're not going to get into a whole bunch of particulars. But it's a matter of showing everybody is due respect. But you need to work on why you don't like that person. So we went through, and we went to the first point. The first point was put your sword down. As couple lower their blades, that is to say, let go of their upset long enough to hear their partners upset, the dynamic shifts. You have to stop. You have to learn how to stop yourself. It's a skill that has to be developed. Stop and think. It's cognitive restructuring, right? Nobody told you had to keep talking. Nobody told you this is you got to just keep going. Why can't you stop? At some point in time, being apologetic for what you could have stopped is going to not it's not going to work anymore. No, it's not. Even that good sex that comes after some conflicts doesn't work anymore. It doesn't. You can't keep being apologetic for your bad behavior. You can't be apologetic all the time and it be accepted when acting out on one of your less endearing traits. It doesn't work that way, ladies and gentlemen. It doesn't. So if your relationship is going that way, consider your relationship done. No matter what you do in this relationship, it's not going to improve. You're just biding your time. You're just wasting life, yours and theirs, because it's not going to improve. It's not going to get any better unless things have been put in place. Number one, counseling. The two of you can't be the problem and be the solution. You can't. And even if one begins to grow, how long does that person really stay? How long do you allow them to get out of this? The shell has broken. They see the light. They're trying to get out. But this so-called thing called love, people stay. And they always see that little glimmer of light at the end of that dark tunnel, but never seem to see the brightness of it. And they're stuck. Yeah, sometimes you crack a boiled egg and, some of the shell slides right off, but it's always that one little piece that's stuck on there. You're trying to get it off without tearing the egg, and ultimately you tear away some of the egg. Yeah. So put the sword down. In reality, putting your sword down doesn't mean that you're going to be treated like a doormat, that, you're going to be abused. You get abused if you allow yourself, if you keep going back and forth over the same stuff that has never changed, and it's like, okay, what do you want? You want to keep arguing about it? Or now just the best time to just walk away because it's not going to change. It's just not. Right? So you're not going to be, put in a position where you're submitting to something that's making you feel less than. To submit to another person, and husbands have to submit to their wives have to submit to their husbands, and when those things don't happen because one person hasn't worked through their challenges with the word submissive and what interpretation of being submissive means, right? That's a real hard pill to swallow for some people. But you have to understand that if you say that you love a person, if you legitimately love a person, not love what they give to you monetarily, materialistically, right? But what it is that they bring to the table for your spirit. If you truly love a person, you really have to begin to ask yourself, why am I afraid to submit to this person who does all these things for me, who does all these things to me, naked me, not naked and sexually, but like nothing, just me. Why am I not submitting? You have to challenge that within yourself, right? Because when you feel that way, when you feel like if I just like yield to this, I'm going to be treated in this manner, you shouldn't be with the person. You shouldn't be with the person. Number two, because we stop at one. Halt hostile communication. When people don't speak in mature ways, and when they don't actively work to deeply hear one another, they grow with time increasingly hostile. And I just said that a minute ago. It's like maturity is important to understand here. What is maturity? What is maturity? Even though childhood events and activities and things show up in our adult life, they're part of us. They're going to always do. Do you stay there? Do you continue to stomp your feet? Do you continue to walk out and slam the door behind you? Do you continue to jump into your car, accelerate down a 25-mile-an-hour speed limit street at 40 miles an hour because you're mad? That's immature and irresponsible, but it's immature. There's no maturity in that. There's no maturity in denying your partner sex simply because you can't move something or because you're in disagreement about something. That's immature. Sure, you may need a few minutes. Sometimes you may even need a day or two. But once you get past a day or two, you're supposed to let that go. By the third day, you should have come to some kind of resolution as to what you're going to do about this. Are you going to stay or are you going to go? Because you're not going to keep taking me through this. So there are doctrinally scripted measurements for working through conflict between you and other people, especially spousal. There's scripture on that. Whether you're reading the Bible, the Quran, the Torah, there's scripture on that. It tells you what it is that you need to be doing. You have to have a go-to source. And if your only go-to source when trying to resolve conflict is going up here in a terror dome, you're in trouble. You're in a lot of trouble. So stay out of there. Going back to the article, this hostility often emerges by way of passive aggressive behaviors and nonverbal communications, eye rolling, sarcastic comments, and true feelings disguised as jokes. Let me say this again for the people in the front who maybe missed that. The hostility often emerges by way of passive aggressive behaviors and nonverbal communication, such as eye rolling, sarcastic statements, and true feelings disguised as jokes. You know when it happens. You know when you do it. You may not know why you do it, but you know you do it. You know you do it. The other person who's on the receiving end of this less endearing trait of yours, right, feels it, and it cuts through them like a knife every time. Because you make your remark, and then you try to laugh it off like, I just playing. No, you weren't. No, you weren't. Again, that goes back to this loyalty that I'm talking about. You don't treat me in that manner. And if you're treating me in that manner, that speaks volumes as to who you are and how you see me to you. And don't think that I don't see it, because I'm internalizing it as how you see me, how you treat me. You're not going to treat me like some dude out on the corner. You're not going to treat me like some common person out in the street. You're not going to do it. You're not going to do it. I've experienced that in all of my marriages, how your only response to something that you didn't want to deal with about yourself, you came at me like I'm just any other person. I'm never any other person. If we're in a relationship, if we're husband and wife, I am never going to allow myself to be talked to like any other person. You have to set boundaries in relationships. It has nothing to do with I'm bringing old baggage into this relationship. No, I've learned to set boundaries. When we don't set boundaries in our relationships, We subject ourselves to continued negative behavior from the other person, and then we get upset at the other person for doing it. Instead of saying, "Oh, wait a minute, hold up. Do I really deserve that kind of treatment?" The bills get paid. I keep up my my duties in the house. I make sure those things are done, regardless of when I get them done. Yeah, sometimes it may take me a longer, but you can help with that. You can just remind me, not in a nagging way, but babe, you tired of changing the bucket under the sink? You that's not being sarcastic. That's not being hiding under disguise of saying something that you really want to say as a joke. No, we need to get it done. Babe, I know you got a lot to do. I know you're doing a lot, but can you? I need you to. And it's okay. It's okay. But if the other person's response, passive aggressive, if the other person's response is passive aggressive, nah, you need to. No, oh, that's not. Because you got to understand that passive aggressive has cousins, right? If you allow another person to act out with passive aggressive behaviors towards you when things happen, you allow them to uh, disguise true feelings as jokes when they say things to you, sarcastic comments. If it happens in one area, they're conditioned to do it in any and all areas. It doesn't go away. And this is when you start establishing boundaries. A lot of people don't like when you establish boundaries. A lot of people think because I'm your husband, because I'm your wife, because I'm your girlfriend, I'm your boyfriend, that I should be able to. No, no, you don't get carte blanche to step on me. You don't get carte blanche to treat me that way. No, you don't get carte blanche. In the name of love, you come on. And we do that. I've done it. I've done it in hopes that it's going to go away, in hopes that I could love it away, in hopes that I could gift it away, in hopes that I could sex it away. It doesn't work that way, y'all. We waste so many years of our lives in unhealthy conditions, in toxic relationships, and then we want to blame the other person. Back to the article. Do away with all of that, right? And that's what I'm telling you now. Commit to no longer engaging in these tactics that in the short term feel like a release, but in the long term push your partner further away. That's what ultimately happens. When we don't establish boundaries with other people and we continue to let those kind of behaviors go on, right? It becomes the norm of the relationship. We are establishing the norm. Anytime you have one or more, two or more people engaging in interaction with one another, there's a stage of development, right? We in clinically we look at it from what's called a group dynamics. There's different stages of how a group comes to be cohesive. You know, it's the storming stage, the stage where people, go at each other and, because they're feeling each other out. It's like, putting that jab out, measuring how far you, that, yeah, how do, you know what I mean? You measure that person. So you measure one another in that group. That's how, this is two or more people. Two or more people happens the same way, right? So you should see yourself in this relationship growing. If the relationship is staying as it is, it's not moving, it's going to always be that way. Believe me when I tell you, it will always be that way. That's why it's important. And not only do you establish boundaries, but you also let a person know what you're willing to accept and what you're not willing to accept. And it's not said from an attitudinal point, because that's passive aggressive. When you come at this juncture from a passive aggressive approach, Well, I'm not letting no man this, and I'm not letting no woman do this. No, no. You confront these things when they happen because you need to let that person know it ain't going down that way. Nope. Uh-uh. It is not going down that way. You address it when it happens. If you don't address it when it happens the first time, there will be a second, third, fourth, and so on time of this kind of behavior. And it's not just going to be in this situation, it's going to be any situation I damn well feel like I want to act that way because you allowed me to do it the first time. Now you want to get mad? Now you want to say something? You didn't say anything then. Damn, what you changed? Why? It wasn't no issue before. Again, when a person doesn't want to take responsibility, they deflect. They victimize you and then tell you why they victimized you and that it was your fault for them victimizing you. You have to look at the whole picture. We see it and we don't resolve it. And we keep telling our person, telling ourselves that we love this person. How much do you love you? That you're willing to continue to go through this on and on and on and on. I want peace, serenity, solitude in my home, in the environment that I have to be in. If it's your workplace and I'm constantly going at odds with somebody else, how is that affecting my performance? How is that affecting my spirit? I have to go to work. I got to put in 8 hours. I got to be in the environment with that person. I start going through changes on Sunday morning because I know Monday morning I got to be at work with that person. Look at how much control you have given that person to your life. Damn, I got to see her. Yo, this dude don't never do his job. You're taking yourself through all of this about another person. And it's not just in the workplace. It's just not limited to one place. We tolerate certain behaviors from our partners that we won't tolerate from somebody else. But the bottom line on it is, it's just a matter of time. That's your worldview. That's how you see everything and everybody around you. So I have to be a certain way. I have to act a certain way. I have to do things in a certain way for you to be okay. And when I come outside of that, you don't like it because I'm not okay with it. I'm not. All too often, we blame somebody else for a failed relationship when at the end of the day, we have free will that God gave all of us. None of us missed that. None of us missed that. Adam ate from the fruit. They both ate from the fruit, and they both experienced good and evil. They both, in their knowledge was increased. They saw themselves shamefully and wanted to cover themselves. So therefore, we have the ability to see. We have the ability to see that that is not the path I want to go down. We have that ability. You know it's not healthy for you. Why are you holding on to it? That's what you have to look at. Are you afraid to be by yourself? Is it convenient? Because convenience plays out in all areas of your life. If you want things to be convenient, I don't have to do any work. I can go ahead and argue with her, but she's going to be there. So I don't have to deal with the other stuff of chasing tail, right? When I have mine here. I'm complacent. I'm good. But you're not happy. Life is about being happy, not being okay, good. I want to be great. I want my life each day that I get blessed to be above ground. I want it to be a great day. That's not asking for too much. I can create that. I have the power to create that. Because I have all the attributes of God. The patient God. I need to work on my patience. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I choose to succumb to that mood. Can't blame it on anybody. I chose to succumb to that. I got angry with my daughter, my 2-year-old this morning. She's downstairs yelling and screaming. I'm live on here. You hear the screaming and yelling, right? I didn't have to react to it. I chose to because that's the space that I was in because of whatever else was going on at the time within me. But when you create a stable environment of peace, of solitude, you tend to react less in that capacity. Doesn't mean that you don't get angry. Anger is a natural human response, and it's often a jarring experience to bring about change within our lives. I'm sick of it, so I'm angry now because it goes from annoyed to frustration to anger to rage. So when you see yourself getting frustrated, right, do your best at trying to control it, but you have to start changing the pattern. And that's what it talked about in early on up in the bulleted area. Right? You have to change that pattern. You have to become self-aware. You have to recognize that. You have to communicate about that. Peace is in your control, your hands. Like one of the lyrics in my song is peace may come through war, but war doesn't bring peace. You understand? So it stops when you go to war. Whatever that attack is or was, it stops. War brings peace. Stop. You won't do that anymore. I laid hands on you. Whichever way you want to look at it. Right? You had hands laid on you. And the war is now over. But the war doesn't bring peace because now you've lost that relationship. Now you've lost that part of your life. So it's still something else that now has to be resolved within you. It's still something that has to be resolved within you. So we fought, not necessarily physically. We fought. It's over. When you look at what's happening in other countries, you think these countries are going to ever be the same after their cities have been bombed and destroyed? You think they're ever going to be the same? Do you think 50, 60, 100 years, 200 years from now that they will ever be the same? No. Same thing with blacks in America. You think we'll ever be the same? Nothing will ever be the same. Nothing. It will never be the same. So the last sentence on there, because we're going to stop it too, right? This is just a really good article. I would just encourage you to read this article, Psychology Today, 6 Strategies for Couples in Constant Conflict. Managing conflict differently will likely bring you closer to your partner. With what you're doing right now, you know it's not working. And it's not bringing y'all closer together. It's not. It's further splintering you. And it's just a matter of time. 5, 10, 15, 20, even 30 years. And at some point you just say, you know what? I'm doing this no more. And the article is written by Jill P. Weber, PhD. Right? You want to grow, you want to mature, start learning about your humanity. Start learning about who you are. For real. Start being honest. Start being authentic. Right? Stop being a fake. Stop being a fraud because you're only hurting yourself because it's just a matter of time before the real you comes out. And sometimes you may not know how to handle that. We all have shortcomings. We all sin. There's no such thing as a perfect person. None. There's no such thing. They don't exist. That's why so many people have gone to a dating lifestyle because that way they can create their own Frankenstein monster of the sort. They can date three, four people that are going to provide for them a whole. Well, he can't do this, so I'll get him to do that. So I got him to do this, him to do that. Hey, I'm almost there. Now what I need is I need one more to do this. And they call it dating. It's not dating. You're abusing people. You're using people. You don't want to commit. So it's easy to just, okay, well, listen, he ain't working no more, so let me go get him. And men do it too. Men do it too. Oh, she don't want to do this. Okay, I got somebody over here to do that. I got somebody to do that. And you think that you're happy. Yet and still, when you come to the one who is not the whole that you in your mind told yourself that you need, you're not even in there with her. You're with somebody else while you're there with her. You're there with Susie. You're there with Grace while you're sitting here with Barbara. And don't see what you're doing to yourself. It's not worth it. Yeah, we do stuff like that when we're young. But when we're talking about maturity, because that's what this is about, it's about maturity. It's about mature acting. It's about mature thinking. It's about mature decisions and acting in a mature manner. So somebody doesn't have to tell you you're acting like a 5-year-old. And now you're even more offended. It's strategies. You have to learn skills. I learn skills. I do these articles. I learn from these articles. I had my aha moments when doing these articles. I have learning curves when I'm doing these articles. It's not just for you. This show is for me too. Because when you say things out of your mouth and you hear it being said, the application applies to you as well. The application applies to me as well. So I just see a heading. So okay, yeah, I like that. I don't read the whole article. I just peruse, the content just to make sure it's content that I want to present. Psychology Today will never fail me in terms of information to present on the shows. And again, I'm not just some Johnny come lately dude. I'm a clinician. I'm a credentialed person, a certified addictions professional, worked in the field 30 years. So I'm not just some dude who said, let me go ahead and do a blog. Let me go ahead and do this weekly show. This is my contribution to bringing about change in the world. This is my contribution. We each have our own contribution, right? Some have music, some have dance, some have theater. What's yours? What's yours? Are you volunteering somewhere? Right? How are you contributing to the good of yourself? How are you contributing to the good of your family? Which ultimately brings about a positive change within communities. But when we have so many people who are on social media not being who they are, being somebody who they think they are, they never become their authentic self, we have a lot of fraudulent people in our communities. People who smile and kiki with you all the time, but wish you would just go away, wish you would just go under a rock and leave them the hell alone. But how you treat someone, it comes back to you. It comes back to you. And if you treat one person this way, you're bound to treat the other person this way too. But it's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of situation, and circumstance, because you don't turn that person off. You just put certain filters on when you're with that particular person. We're at the hour. Um, Listen, it's relationships are tough, man. There's nothing easy about any relationship. Nothing. There's nothing easy about any relationship. Don't let anybody tell you that. Don't let anybody tell you that relationships are easy. They're tough. They're tough. But you have to have a relationship with you first. And I don't mean like get out of your current relationship and start. You start a relationship with yourself right now, today. Do some work on you. Work on what presents itself. Don't go finding something and say, well, you talked about such as let me. No. What's pressing right now? What's on your spirit right now that you're dealing with? Deal with that. Don't come up with something else. Deal with what's making you feel uncomfortable right now. Yeah. You can only work on what presents itself. Don't go looking for stuff and trying to figure it out. When it happens, you'll know. Utilize that time right now. Whenever it presents itself, when you feel yourself agitated, why am I agitated? What's going on? Why am I sitting there looking at him like that? Why am I sitting there looking at her like that? Why is it when that person comes around, I feel this way, I feel that way? Because there's some situations where you can't avoid the other person. That person could be your employer. That person could be your parent, your child, your classmate, your study mate, your roommate. Fix it. Right now, it just presented itself. Let's have a conversation. And if other person is not willing to have the conversation, don't just listen. Don't do what we did with the Mike Tyson thing. Don't look for the old Mike when you know it ain't the old Mike that's coming into the ring. So if you reach back and every time I did it before, they always, well, we're not talking about before. We're talking about right now. This happened right now. Let's have a conversation. Let's have a conversation with the right tone. Let's have a conversation using the right timing. Now this may be happening, but now may not be the moment. So now isn't always, it happened at 10 o'clock in the morning. It got heated. This might not be the moment. Now is the time to stop, regroup, get out of your feelings, put this thing together so they don't feel attacked. Make it about you telling the person, teaching the person about you and not telling them off. When you do this, it makes me feel. Use that. That's the recipe. When you raise your voice at me, it reminds me of my childhood. And this is what happened during my childhood, and this is how I reacted to those things. So it's difficult for me to shut my mouth when I feel that. And yeah, you're not a child anymore. It's usually a response. That doesn't matter. Being an adult doesn't mean that any of that went away. It still exists. It's who you are. It's who you are. And when you make that attempt to just tell the person about you, right? It's your responsibility to follow through with that. Not to just say it and think that that should be the Band-Aid on the bullet wound, allowing you to keep on acting that way. No, because now that you've acknowledged it, remember about the self-awareness, you know this has happened, you know that you do this, you're telling the other person is part of the communication, because the change of the pattern comes via you becoming aware and then communicating. And then the other person, if they're willing, should be listening. And if they begin to talk, say, shoot, can you please just listen to me? Hear me out? And if they're not willing, that's not the time. But when you make an attempt, sometimes people recognize the attempt and later come back to, I apologize, I should have listened. I want to listen. I want us to, right? So plant the seed. Plant the seed. And when you see that as you're digging to create the space for the seed, that it's not going well, hold the seed, leave the space, and come back to it another time. And sometimes it gets to a point where like, yo, listen, I can't. Well, when you get to that point, that's when you need to stop. You need to go take a walk. you need to go for a ride. Listen, as always, you could be doing anything else on a Saturday morning. You're listening to my mouth. And just know that I appreciate you tuning in. This is my latest release. Ain't nothing. Working on another one. Just wrote another song last night. Well, I completed another song. I got a lot of songs to incomplete. But check it out on your favorite music streaming platform. It's on all of them. Check it out. Thanks for tuning in.
America. Just a figment of your imagination. Just look it up. Get the definition. Then look around you. Reevaluate your position. Dreams and nightmares. Hopes and fears. Some big, some small. Got your trauma on recall. We put that old boogeyman in this place many years ago. But they still unpack them sheets annually. Doing a little recruiting, you know? Shit. We ain't sure. That's why they hiding in plain sight. It's what they do. It's not just us that after you too. What's up, y'all? Ain't nothing. Ain't nothing. Apparently, elected officials need to be brought up on their awareness as to how they came to be. There's term life, whole life, and no damn life. Jobs, justice, and equality do fall under your purview. Maybe some of y'all need to join the protesters too. Kid for me waging war on your own. Standing at the fence, neither side, your home. Screwed us all, now you wanna talk dirty. A lot of gall. Mr. Sin with the birdie. Who's wanna take the fall? What's up, y'all? Ain't nothing. Ain't nothing. It's easy to talk tough from the podium. Never step foot in the hood. See what's really holding them. Standing up there, scolding them. Stirring and hate and bolding them. Fuck around and find out we colder than them. Ain't our first rodeo, we older than them. Original man, we're soldiering them. What's up, y'all? Ain't nothing. Ain't nothing. We've got the experience with no how it's done. They're rotating gatekeepers, keeping the bad chasers on the run. Grown has been not sirs but sons, vying for positions, but dying by gun. Check this. Our aim should be them. Them is us. chasing paper that breathes, and God we trust. Hustlers hustle, players play, public servants all bought and paid. Gamblers and dirty deeds, violators of law, proven track record, constituent contingency clause. Just collateral damage, just need your vote, just without ice, just a sacrifice. What's up, y'all? Ain't none, ain't none.
Again, thanks for tuning in. I'm your host, as always, Severline. I'll see you next Saturday. Get the party started at 10 a.m. as always. Put my music on and letting you have some fun. Peace. Don't forget to check out alimforyou.net, ALIM, the number 4, the letter U.net. Check out our merchandise. We got all kind of great stuff. Getting ready to add on some more automobile stuff. Got a boutique we're getting ready to drop. Got some women's pocketbooks, umbrellas, raincoats. This is the boutique section of our site. Check us out, man. alimforyou.net, custom tumblers, t-shirts, other apparel, wallpaper, car seat covers. You name it, we're doing it, man. And more to come. Y'all have a great one. Peace.